Oh,
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the latest installment of the West End Zone podcast. Those of you who have watched us, thank you to our loyal watchers, all 10 of you. We are a bit of a working title. We started off with our first guest, and our only guest so far has been The Machine. The Machine is my father. We've been having these discussions on the Miami Hurricanes, basically all the time, for years or maybe decades at this point. And it's a lot of fun, and figure we record some of these and bring in some more action, some more interaction. I know we've had some questions on Twitter, so yeah. Please help me welcome the machine.
hey guys, appreciate the invite again. It's been a pleasure here being with the West End Zone crowd, and really look forward to wrapping up the year here. You got left two more games. I know that obviously leaving Hard Rock was disappointing last Saturday, but I'm looking forward to good things. So just wanted to jump in here and just try to touch on a couple things that happened during the game. I've got some really good intel, as you know. We sit on the field and was able to talk to I believe to be one of the best ACC officials. And I say one of the few because there's not many good ones, but we definitely have Jerry Porter. That he definitely comes to our games, and he's one of the best refs out there right now. I was able to talk to him during the game. Him and I have a history of talking during the game, so it was pretty
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, um, it, and I guess we'll talk more about it later. But there was one thing that I wanted to kind of get out there, that I didn't realize until we spoke to him, which was sometimes he doesn't have control what the other guys do. You know that.
Exactly, and you bring up a great point because that's exactly how that was framed to me when I questioned certain calls during the game. I said this, and that, and he said, "Well, I wouldn't have made that call." And I looked at him, and I said, "That's enough for me to ask him more questions." He gave me his answer. I think it was pretty clear.
Yeah. So let's talk about the game. And I like to kind of apologize to the people that have been watching the film breakdowns the past few weeks. It's been difficult. I've been on vacation and crazy stuff at work, but just to kind of talk about that game. And we spoke about last week about Coach Brom, and the kind of like uh, way that he coaches offense, right? And he came with a great sort of game plan. A lot of misdirection, a lot of side to side game. We spoke about that they would sort of work that stretch play, or fake some sort of a run play and then roll out, or bootleg, or waggle, or whatever you want to call it. And they were able to just keep us off balance. I think because they were able to run the ball on first down.
Yeah, that's a great point. And this is the first time that we really had our first collapse on defense. There's no doubt about it. The game plan was flawed. We had to make adjustments. We didn't make the adjustments, and we couldn't stop them when we had to stop them. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't produce a complete game last Saturday. The offense played a lot better, which was amazing. And but one of the that exact play that you were talking about, that stretch play where they stretch to the right, quarterback's right-handed. Plummer, he stretches, he's to the right, with the entire team going to the right, and then that tight end on the right side kind of blocks down, then releases and goes across to the left. That play was like they threw it like maybe 8 or 9, 10 times, and it was open every single time. And every single time they caught it, it was a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 4, and guess what? They were stretching right, throwing left to that tight end that's going across the field, catching it, getting his 3 or 4 or 5 yards, getting the first down, and no one was on him. So
Yeah,
disappointed.
like I was sitting there watching the game out from the end zone, and just seeing a lot of pre-snap motion, right? And the motion goes one way, then the backfield action goes the other way, and then the quarterback goes the other way, and it's. Am I watching Belen Jesuit? Right? It was just misdirection and misdirection and misdirection, and I don't think we've seen anything like that all year. And you know, I think our guys maybe not didn't play the best game, and I think it also led to them getting in rhythm too. And then I think also should be noted, this is the game where I think you were able to see our depth, come into play. Where on the defensive line we're decimated, right? Yeah, people, people on the forums, yeah, we're going to the 3-3 stack and this and that, and I mean, we're doing it because we have to, because we're down defensive ends. We're playing with one defensive end, two defensive tackles, and it's a situation where we're changing defenses mid-season, trying to teach people where to go, and I think you saw that come into play. And I'll add one more thing before I pass it to you. Is I thought Jadais Richard 25. I think he kind of sort of hit a wall, and he played okay versus Florida State, but I think he had a rough game.
Well, he's playing. He thinks he's back in high school, made a lot of mistakes. But I gotta tell you something. The biggest disappointment was seeing the warm-ups. We sit right there in the field. We're seeing the warm-ups, and we see LT out there doing his thing. We say, okay, great. LT's gonna play. He's suited up. And then when the game starts, LT's not out there. And then I find out that he got nicked during the warm-ups, which is hard to believe, but it happened. So not having LT, top 2, top 3 D tackle in college, any draft expert will tell you, he could be a second rounder in the NFL. So not having him out there, which he's a person that can disrupt many things. He's extremely quick. Was huge. Even though the players behind him do an admirable job, still not having LT was a big deal. In that game on Saturday, I think he would have disrupted a lot of the plays, made a lot of tackles. And again, it was a disappointing loss. Defense, didn't have its best day out there. And but I think, what we're doing here with this team, and, we're building a roster. We just got to clean it up and hopefully look forward to having a much better game on Saturday against BC and then ending the game in a bowl.
Yeah, and maybe against BC, maybe in the bowl game, maybe we'll finally put together one game, just one complete game. Because it's like, what's been the story the whole year, right? I mean, Texas A&M was a great game we won, but we also basically gave away 2 touchdowns.
Well,
right?
the perfect game was the first game of the year against what I believe to be Miami University of Ohio, which is, I don't know if you saw their stats right now.
Yeah,
their
they've
record.
been good.
They're, I think, only 1 or 2 losses. They're playing really good. They're extremely well coached, and I think that game was probably the best game that we played all year long, which was the first game of the year.
Yeah, and then after that, it's been, since that GT game, it's been that situation where the offense may put up yards, but they were gonna basically turn the ball over 2, 3, 4 times, or they just weren't gonna show up. And then the defense is doing everything that they can, and then this game, of course, TVD comes back and he's back being TVD, and then the defense can't do it. You know what I mean? It's so typical of this season.
Look, to me, if you see the stats, and I understand Miami had more yardage than Louisville, but really that last play, that last helmet that was caught, really was a difference in why they had more yardage. You take away that play, Louisville really had more first downs, they had more yardage. Louisville played better than Miami. Miami didn't have any turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. And you would say, okay, you get all that yardage, you're at home, you have no turnovers. They had 1, I believe, the interception. So you're supposed to win these games at home. Come on. You're supposed to win. I believe that game was one of the worst coached time management games in a while. I believe that how they managed the end of the first half and how they managed the end of that game. It just to me that was the difference right there, and of course then the defense not being able to stop them.
Yeah, and to kind of like to kind of add to what you're saying about about the first half, where there was like I think there was a timeout that was called that was completely unnecessary. It may have given them like an extra 10, 15 seconds. I think we should also probably mention the referees reviewed like two things that drive that were just things that you don't even have to review.
Well, yeah.
Just to give them, just to basically give them like a free timeout.
No, they stopped the clock. They stopped the clock. They scored that touchdown right before the half, basically with referees making like 4 or 5 review calls,
right.
which were completely, like stupid, and my conversation, and I want to just drill down this a little bit because as UM fans, I know I'm frustrated with the officials this year.
Yeah. A
lot of bad calls, the safeties, the fumble that wasn't a fumble. The guy from GT when he slid into the end zone, the ball should have been at the 1 yard line, game over. And they went to replay and they couldn't make the right play on that call on that. They couldn't make the right call on the fumble that wasn't a fumble. They couldn't, and of course, two safeties where the players running parallel to behind the goal line gets tackled. Okay.
Yeah, it's
and just one. So as a UM fan, the fans are frustrated with the officials. So we go to the game, right? And we sit there, and of course, we're all human. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go after the officials.
Yeah.
Just because, we've been getting horrible calls all year long. I want to go over these 2 personal fouls against the quarterback, the one that wasn't called and the one that was called. So I did, and before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit about the history that Jerry Porter and I have, because I used to sit in the east end zone. Now I'm in the west end zone.
Gary Patterson. Jerry Porter's the guy from Florida State. No, sorry, from Ohio State. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
That name is like drilled into your head.
Jerry Patterson.
Gary Patterson. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jerry Patterson. Anyways, so I think it was like 2 years ago. Miami was playing. I never forget the school right now, and they were kicking off, and the guy in the end zone from the other team gets the ball in his hands. He runs it out, and he gets hit, and the helmet comes off. No, college football, when the helmet comes off,
all right,
you have to leave.
Yeah.
You have to go to and sit out a play.
Right.
Well, this player ran off and then ran back on with the helmet on.
Oh, like same play.
And I'm screaming, "Hey, that guy did this," and Jerry's hearing me, but Gary, he doesn't turn around. So then eventually, they were down there again, and I kind of get his attention, Gary, and I say, "Gary, do you know that guy right there?" And they were kicking off again. Miami kicking off again.
Yeah.
And I go, number 22 right there. In the previous kickoff, his helmet came off. So Gary goes up to the player and he asks the player straight out, "Did you not leave when your helmet came off?" And the player admits that was what happened. And then Jerry's telling him, "Well, next time you need to go out, I'm going to throw up, penalty on you."
Yeah.
And so then him and I.
Yeah, like at that point you gained his confidence.
So basically, when he saw me the other day, on Saturday at the game,
right.
he was like, "Oh, this is the guy of the kickoff." So I'm kind of shaking my head. I'm to him. He sees me that I'm not happy with the calls, right?
Right.
So he comes up to me, and we start having a civil conversation. I explain to me why there wasn't a personal foul on DVD when he was running out of bounds. The guy, he threw the pass, and then he pushed him out of bounds.
Right, yeah.
And his reasoning to me was that he was already going in that direction. He had thrown the pass, and the defender was going to tackle him, and he pushed him. So his momentum was already going out of bounds, so it looked worse than what it really, was in terms of a personal foul.
Okay.
Look, do I buy into that? I'm not sure if I buy into that, but
you have to take it like in context with the other calls, right?
Well, and then I questioned him on the personal foul on what's his name, Bain,
Bane, yeah,
Well,
right.
Bane comes up the middle.
Hits the guy's arm.
He tackles him, and he says, "I said, so what was that about?" He goes, "Well, Bane got his hand up into his helmet, and anytime you touch the quarterback's head, it doesn't matter where you touch it."
No. But that, like, that's not what happened.
Yeah, but let
though.
me finish here. Oh, do you see the highlight?
Yes.
Yes.
He hit his arm, and the guy's arm hit the head.
Right, exactly. So then he goes, well, I haven't seen the replay, but I can tell you that I wouldn't have called the penalty, but the other guy,
Right,
is
the other
one
guy
that
did it.
The other guy, he goes. This is going from a really good referee to a terrible one. The other guy, I've seen him out there.
Yeah.
He is absolute terrible.
Yeah, right. I got to see.
With a C, right?
Yeah, I get
So
it.
so then I go look, I go, well, Gary, as fans, we're extremely upset at the season with referees because
Yeah.
we're frustrated. We got those two safeties. He goes, yeah, two safeties. People are talking about that. He goes, yeah, you guys got a bad deal there. So he's telling me about that. He knows about these safeties, but I can go down the list of multiple fouls
Look.
that they've been called against us, or plays that have been called against us that are not, they're not.
So then, what does that tell us, right? If Gary Patterson, good referee, I think he's been fair with us.
He has been fair.
He's on a staff or like a crew of referees that he can't even hold accountable. He can't even override those other dudes.
Well-
And then it's like, so then who's accountable for who?
I think that comes down to the ACC had the major issue. I know that when we were in Florida State, I was sitting next to a Florida State fan, and we're talking about the officiating, how even an FSU fan told me that was a safety. He goes, you guys got robbed.
Yeah.
That was a safety, in today, tomorrow, in Pony League, anywhere. It's a definite safety. And they were saying that how upset they were with the ACC officiating this year, how poor it's been.
Yeah.
And that it needs to get better. And you need to get better officials. They need to be better instructed. So I think the ACC's got a major issue with this.
I think Dan Radakovich and I'm not sure, what's going on in the background. I think Dan Radakovich has to get out of the conference, or B, maybe both of these things. I think Dan Radakovich has to start gathering data and get a lawyer and start suing the ACC.
Well, look, I don't know about law, you do, but all I can tell you is from a fan sitting there, we had high hopes where we're 5-0 or 4-0, whatever we're at. We're playing GT, a game that was completely just mismanaged. We go then to losing to teams like North Carolina State. If you analyze this team, if we get better quarterback play out of Van Dyke, we do certain things. You're
10
gonna tell
wins
me
easy. 10 wins easy.
Look, Louisville's not a bad team. They went out and got a 6-year quarterback, a proven commodity in college football, and Plummer. He's wherever he's gone, he's played well. Is he a great player? No, he's not, but he gets the job done.
Good enough.
Okay, and they hit the portal with everything they had. They've brought in really big names. They have one of our guys from last year. We made a couple plays in that game.
Yeah, you got toasted once too.
Yeah. So all I'm saying to you is to me, Louisville is like Michigan State of a couple years ago. It's a 1-year wonder. They're not going to be able to to sustain that again. I think.
Right.
I think Miami plays that game against them, and Miami wins 7 out of 10. I think Miami's a much better team than Louisville, and I think that outside of a healthy Florida State, and a neutral field, I think that we're equal or maybe even better in certain positions.
Yeah, no, it's this is the weirdest season, right? I don't think we've experienced a season quite like this in the last 15 years. I don't think, right? Where you go through a season and you see obvious improvement in areas that we have not been good in like forever, right? Like we're good on defense, we're good up front, we're good on the offensive line, and like we kind of have that base of what builds the program to be good every year. And our record is awful. You know, like we're like, how many games have we lost that we should have won? And it's tough to not see the progress, but then it's also tough to not see just the lack of game day coaching and the lack of like performance, right? Like high level performance sustained for 4 quarters, all 3 phases. A team that goes out and gets the win, not a team that goes out and barely squeaks one by. Coach Guidry today was talking about a tweet that he read, which I think I read the same tweet, but basically saying it goes from losing by a lot to then losing by a little to then winning by a little to then winning by a lot, and we're in that losing by a little phase, which which is like, which I think is, you want things to go faster, and you see teams that have had faster success, right? And it makes that whole trust the process thing and that whole idea where you want to build a program and build culture. It makes you not want to wait because you've seen teams in year one, make a huge jump, but we started with what we started with, and I'm after these losses, after these games, I watch the game and I wait a couple days, and then like I kind of see it for what it is. But Saturday was a tough day for me, man. That was, to me, that's the most painful loss of the year.
I think it's a game that you could have said to yourself, okay, you win this one, you beat a top 10 team. Now you go and you play Boston College, you beat Boston College, you win your bowl game, you win 3 out, and you kind of like you prepare yourself for next year.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
but then it's the same story as last year. Last year, we had a problem with our offensive coordinator. He was and the whole coaching staff was dysfunctional.
Yes.
And this and that. And now we changed the entire roster. Now we got all these new kids. Now we have a new coach and OC. We have a new DC.
And it's one win better.
but then we have the same problems that we were having last year. Okay, at least this year we haven't lost a team yet, but I gotta tell you that I'm starting to second guess Mario game day coaching. I'm second guessing his time management, and I'm really worried about the discipline that this team doesn't have.
Yeah,
because at the end of Saturday's game, you're at the 2-yard line. It's 4th down. There's like a minute something left in the game. Okay, almost 2 minutes.
Right.
And what you have to do is, okay, you run your play, and you don't score. Guess what happens? It's 1st down, Louisville at the 1-yard line.
Right.
You got 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, if you stop them, they punt out of their end zone.
Right.
You put a guy in the back like Ray or Smith back there, he can break it. He can break it and give you.
Or if he just catches it,
puts you in great field position, and you have another shot of tying up that game. Okay. And what happens? Personal foul.
Oh, wait, timeout. First.
First of all, timeout.
Timeout.
You call timeout, then you lose that ability. Okay, and then the personal foul on George. Okay, yeah, it was a penalty. He didn't get it.
He's frustrated.
But
the
guy's been holding
like 2
him
games in a row, right?
The guy's been holding him all game long.
Yeah,
I
that's
get
true.
it.
He was.
I get it. All game long,
was.
he's been holding him. Okay, referees aren't calling it. Okay, but that's just, you got to deal with it. Okay,
Yes.
and then of course the other personal foul. So basically, is when you add it all up, you said, okay, game day coaching, time management, playing smart, discipline. What, this is not game one.
Blunders, yeah.
You're at the end of the season, and you're still seeing these issues. There's a disconnect here. I think maybe Mario needs to take a step back and analyze this better. Maybe bring in other coaches that can basically talk about these situations. I don't know. I mean, but I think we have a great roster. I think he's building a great roster. Mario is the master recruiter. I think he's building a great program. I think if we just can fix some of these issues, we can really turn this into an amazing program, amazing product, and get everybody juiced up, man. Get out there to the Hard Rock and start supporting this team, But, we need to go out there and understand that, we can't continue losing at home.
Yeah, I'm going on about 25 minutes right now, but it's you know it's just a frustrating year, man. It's just because you see it, because you see the ability, like you see it so close, and then it's just so many blunders, and it's just nothing ever coincides. If the quarterback's not good, and the offense is good, and the defense is good, and we somehow still find a way to lose a game because we turn it over, or it's this and it's that, and then it leads to like toxicity in the fan base. People don't want to show up. But I guess let's see if we can win this next week. And really, what we have to do is close off this recruiting class.
Yeah, look,
The lack of depth that we have at certain positions have to be fixed.
if we can keep the junior classes to stay, and I know that's going to be hard. We got a couple of players that I think are NFL caliber already. But if it's some way somehow we can keep the class together, coming back next year, and we can address some positions through the portal, and you saw we have 5 freshmen starting. Okay, so a freshman will start it if that freshman is the person that needs to be starting. So I think that we can really have a great season next year. I really do.
Yeah, same.
I saw the schedule.
Yeah.
I think the schedule is a good schedule.
Yeah.
I think opening up in Florida is amazing. We can go up there and do our thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I wanna touch on obviously the game against Boston College, but I also want to touch about Florida State and UF, the game a little bit, and to see who you like in this game. I know who I like already.
Tell me, talk to me.
Okay, well, basically, is number one is I think Miami's going to show up on Friday. I think they're going to show up upset. I think they're going to play. I think they're going to play for Mario and for themselves. I think they're going to win 31-17.
That's the best. I agree with you, and I think that's the best indicator, the best sign of this season is if, at the end of all this crap, they're still playing hard, still giving effort. I think it's a really good sign.
And number two is I smell an upset in Gainesville. I think Florida's going to upset. I saw the game against Florida in Missouri. Florida almost won that game. They made a couple mistakes at the end of that game. That's a team right there that, same thing as Miami, right? They play a great game. They're on the road against Missouri, which is a tough place to win at.
Right.
They have Missouri on the ropes. They go up by, I think, 1 or 2 points.
Right.
And then with a minute something, the Missouri quarterback drives the field. They hit the field goal, and they win the game. I thought Florida played really good. I think Florida, I'm not sure if their starting quarterback is going to be ready or not. And I know he got hurt during the game.
No, he's out. I think he's a broken collarbone.
Okay, so basically it's going to be two new quarterbacks on both sides.
Right.
I think both teams struggle on offense. I think Florida wins that game, and they basically give Florida State their first loss. And of course, they have a reason to play hard because they qualify for a bowl. So they're going to want to play hard, and Florida may be saying to themselves, Florida State, I say, maybe saying to themselves, hey, we really had a shot of possibly winning the national championship with Travis, and now we don't have that because Travis was the difference maker.
Yeah, I think you have a good point. My gut tells me Florida State's gonna find some magic. I think that team has been lucky all year. Maybe they get lucky again. Maybe it finally runs out. I thought they were gonna lose against Louisville in a couple weeks. That I think is a loss for them. This week coming up against Florida. I mean, it's in the swamp. I'm just concerned that Florida's defense is so bad that Tate Rodemaker's gonna have not gonna have trouble moving the ball. I don't know. It's could be a situation where Florida's defense sees a brand new quarterback, gets some confidence early, and starts playing well. Maybe they start pressuring him, and Rodemaker, pretty green, can't really deal with it, and maybe he figures it out too late in the game. Who knows?
Look, if that game was in Tallahassee, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no magic for them in Gainesville. I think the Gators are gonna win, and they're gonna win maybe by even 14 points. So
Okay. There you
I do
go.
have a score here.
That's your record.
I have 31-17 Miami winning, and I have the Gators winning 24-17.
24-17. Wow. Do you think Florida State's going to score 7? Yeah, I mean, that can make sense. I mean, Florida State's going to really have to run the ball. That'll shorten the game. Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. For this week, I think we get, the old TVD that we know and love. He's in the cold weather. He's from Glastonbury, Connecticut, so I think he's used to the cold weather. I think our guys, Steve does the challenge, I say we win 42-7.
Okay.
Just like like a beatdown. Like I think we're just angry, and we finally put together one full complete game, and
Okay.
I think we knock out BC's quarterback.
Costello, right?
Yeah.
Castellano. whatever it is.
Castellanos, I think.
Something like that. Some awkward name for a quarterback.
Yeah. So what else you got?
That's it. I just wanted to thank you for having me. This is my first season here with the West End Zone, and looking forward to seeing what happens on Saturday and carrying this momentum into a bowl game. And which, by the way, regardless of where they go for the bowl game, they're going to win, because I think Mario's one of those like no nonsense guys. He's not going to let them like slack.
Right.
And they're going to go to the bowl game like just
Ready to go.
business, and they're going to win the bowl game. So, in my opinion, they will end up the season 8-5, and it'll be obviously a disappointing season because they should only really have 2 losses.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But it is what it is, and you roll with it. And I was there during the Bernie Kosar days, and obviously all the great years. So we got to. Hopefully we'll get back to those days, the glory years. So all I can say is, let's go Canes.
Thank you so much. We, this is our latest installment. I'm gonna see if maybe this weekend finally I can do another film study. It's a lot easier to do them after a win. So stay tuned, you guys, and thanks for checking in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That helps the channel. We're still building it, and we're still getting our set and getting used to this whole podcasting thing. So thank you guys. I'll see you on the next one.